संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतार वरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। यतीनां गृहस्थानां च यः आदर्शो भूत तं रामकृष्णं पुनः पुनः नमामि अहम्। स्वामी विरजानंद कृत श्री रामकृष्ण स्तोत्र दशकम के एक दो शब्द में भूल गया, पर उनका भाव ये बताया। उन्होंने देखा है सदारोपि विरक्ता नाम यति नाम पुरतस्तुया सदाशिव स्वरूपम रामकृष्णम नमाम्य। ये उनके शब्द है, सदारोपि विरक्ता नाम। Now this is a welcome, all of you welcome heartily to this very special session which is in celebration of Sri Ramakrishna's Advent. It is difficult to call him birth date or Tithi Puja. Yesterday in Belur Math, whole day you should have seen the crowd and the joy of the crowd, because there cannot be any more joyous thing in human society when God himself comes down in a form akin to us. It's exactly not a human body which he assumes, human-like body. He assumes. And when this advent comes in our life, his advent came in the world, but when his advent happens in our life, what did happen? Together, simultaneously, so many things happen. Firstly means I'm not doing chronologically, but the most important thing is we see God himself in human form. So, he becomes our Ishta Devata. And simultaneously we see he is universal teacher. Universal teacher does not mean that he teaches his ideas to the universe. He is ready to guide, and he guides every type of sadhak in this universe. Sakar, Nirakar, Bhakta, Jnani, and various infinite combinations of the human mind, and he is ready to guide them. And so, he comes in our life as he shows us which path is ours and guides in that. But when the avatar comes, something much more happens. There also I'll point out two things. Because of his appearance in a human body, we are able to love him. Our love for, say, Shiva, Gauri and all that is always filled with awe. But here, in a human-like body, we can love him in every way. We can love him as our child. He had that child mode throughout his life. We can love him as our master. We can love him as our friend. We can love him through the sweet relation, Madhur Bhava. And if we understand what he is telling the person living in this is like a female and person living in Narendranath is like male. What do we understand from that? Have you heard of the Sufis? They have Madhur Bhav in a reverse way. God is prayasi for them. The beloved, you are the lovers. And in India, the Madhur Bhav is God is our husband or Parkiya Prem, more intense. He can be loved in any way you like, simply because of a human frame. But he comes as the ideal man. If we do not treat him as the ideal man, his very advent as avatar becomes useless. He is God. But why did he appear like a man? And when he appears as a man, he shows. Shows means not makes a show. Automatically in his life he demonstrates what a man could be, what a man should be, what should be the ideal of a man. Now, man has so many natures. Now, in Ramachandra we saw that to show the ideal king, he abandoned Sita. So his two ideals clashed with each other. Ideal husband and ideal king. Of course, in fun I say, Rama's PRO was very weak. Because when the monkeys returned from Ceylon with Rama, all of them had seen Sita's Agni Pariksha. So because thousands of years afterwards, some washerman doubted, so Rama gave up Sita. He could have used that monkey force to make it known to everybody in the kingdom. As Swami Vivekananda has said, people may forget Rama, he says. People may forget the Sanskrit language, he says. People may forget all the languages, he says. If there are 4 peoples in India talking in some patois, some what we call Bol Bhasha, Sita will never be forgotten in India. Anyway, I'm not blaming Rama. Now, because Rama went against the popular opinion at one point. When the rishis told him that you have to do Ashwamedha Yajna, he is ready, but then it cannot be done without a wife. So marry again. There he stood against and made a golden image of Sita and did Ashwamedha Yajna. Anyway, now coming back to our age, today's age, Thakur is the ideal sannyasi. Thakur is the ideal for householders. We can say he is the ideal householder also, but ideal is always above the practical. Swami Vivekananda said in his practical Vedanta, Vedanta is very practical in the sense of ideal, he says. Ideal is always above the practical. That means, that is why I said for. We have to reach that state. then it is called the ideal. So he was the ideal householder, but we are treating him as ideal for the householders. That means householders should struggle to attempt to become like him, householder like him. How a householder should be, how a householder could be. Now here, because of the seriousness of the topic, let me tell something in light mood or humor. English language has no word for what I want to tell you. The word householder is a very bad word, I would say. It's similar to what you know, Dhritarashtra. He holds the kingdom, he never wants to give up that. So, one who holds the house is householder. In Indian language, also, the word commonly used is not the correct word. Generally, the Indian said, grostha, grostha, grostha. And you know, Punjabis will say grosti. My teacher told me very different thing. Grasthashrami is the correct word. The word which I want to use has no equivalent in English. I am limited by their language. But the idea I am telling, Grasthashrami. And my teacher told me the meaning of the word ashrama. We take support of that, ashraya, and struggle to reach the aim of life. That is called ashrama. He was explaining the meaning of Ramakrishna Ashrama. Nowadays, the Nagpur Ashrama is called Ramakrishna Math for some technical reasons. But to begin with, it was Ramakrishna Ashrama. And we take support of Ramakrishna to reach the goal of our life. That is the meaning of Ramakrishna Ashrama. So the Hindu or Indian concept is Brahmacharya Ashrama, Grastha Ashrama, Vanaprastha Ashrama, Sannyasa Ashrama. And the meaning is as described by Thakur himself. The Grasthashrami fights his war against imperfections by living in a fort. This house is a fort. He is taking help of that, support of that, to fight his enemy, which are the imperfections in man. So, aim of man, again, what we decide, that is not our aim, that is not our ideal. That is the whim of our mind. I want to become a doctor, I want to become an engineer, and after becoming that, do you feel that your life is fulfilled? Or some people take up a principle. I want to live a life based upon truth. Do you have any idea of truth? And I don't want to refer to any individual. But somebody talked, and can Gandhi not be ideal for some people? Absolutely rot as an ideal. His experiments with truth. Truth can be experimented. Let that go. Now, according to our Shastras, I definitely mean the Hindu scriptures, unparalleled in the world. Do the other scriptures talk of householder? Buddhism says you will reach your perfection only if you become a sannyasi. Force everybody to become a sannyasi. It is only Hinduism. You know what the great historian Toynbee has said about Hinduism and Ramakrishna? Hinduism within itself has embedded all the noble ideas of the world, including harmony of religions, householder and whatnot. Sri Ramakrishna's speciality is to make all those ideas practical in a human life. He has practiced the harmony of religion. He has practiced what could be the ideal of an householder. Now, in the chapter, in the Great Master, there is half a chapter on why Sri Ramakrishna married. And there it says, remember, the purpose of Hindus' marriage is to have noble children. And when this talk of family planning, etc., came, there was a huge debate in the Ramakrishna Mission. Should we follow it? You understand what I am telling? Sex without the intention of getting a child is called sin in Hinduism. And what Ramakrishna tells about it? I'm jumping a little, but I will come back again. After one or two children are born, the husband and wife should live together as a brother and sister. Meaning is very clear, without sex. And if this ideal was not set up and shown ideally by Sri Ramakrishna, how could have people followed that? I know personally scores of people who have followed that ideal. Some people in the extreme also, like him. That means after the birth of a son and a daughter or two children, they have lived like brother and sister. I know scores of people because Sri Ramakrishna has shown that ideal. But there have been people who without any child also have lived like that throughout their life. Now, I have two texts before me. One is that portion from the Great Master which I am referring to. The other is Swami Vivekananda's Karma Yoga, in which Swamiji has brought another Hindu scripture, Mahanirvana Tantra, to tell us about what an householder, what a grihastha shrami should practice, what should be his ideal, what could be his ideal. Mahanirvana Tantra. Remember, not written by Ramakrishna, not preached by Ramakrishna Mission, but practiced and taught by Sri Ramakrishna. What does this Mahanirvana Tantra say? And there another important point Swamiji has described. Just now I told you the Hindus believed in Brahmacharya Ashrama, Grihastha Ashrama, Vanaprastha Ashrama, and Sannyasa Ashrama. But Swamiji says in later years this has become two ashramas only. Brahmacharya Ashrama is always taken as the preparation for both of them. And we do not see Vanaprasthis these days much. So either you become a sannyasi or you become a householder. Again and again I have to use this bad word householder. Can you find some? No, I am limited by the language in which I am speaking. So I have said the ideal for householders. I am meaning a grihastha who is using his life in the house, as Thakur said, from a fort he is fighting. So he is taking support of that house living to gain his ideal. Now let me refer to Mahanirvan Tantra. Second chapter of Karma Yoga, each is great in his own place. In the Hindu system of morality, we find this fact has been recognized from very ancient times. Which fact? That our duty is determined by the state of life and is different for every man. This fact has been recognized from very ancient times, and in their scriptures and books on ethics, different rules are laid down for the different classes of men, the householder, the sannyasin, and the student. The life of every individual, according to the Hindu scriptures, has its peculiar duties apart from what belongs in common to universal humanity. The Hindu begins life as a student, then he marries and becomes a householder. In old age, he retires, and lastly, he gives up the world and becomes a sannyasin. To each of these stages of life, certain duties are attached. No one of these duties is intrinsically superior to another. The life of the married man is quite as great as that of the celibate who has devoted himself to religious work. The scavenger in the street is quite as great and glorious as the king on his throne. The four stages of life in India have in later times been reduced to two, that of the householder and of the monk. The householder marries and carries on his duties as a citizen, and the duty of the other is to devote his energies wholly to religion, to preach and to worship God. I shall read to you a few passages from the Mahanirvana Tantra which treats of this subject, and you will see that it is a very difficult task for a man to be a householder. Ideal is always above the practical. One has to strain to attain to that and perform all his duties perfectly. If you take up Hindi Karma Yoga in your hand, then all the shlokas are quoted there. In English, the first point, the householder should be devoted to God. The knowledge of God should be his goal of life. Then where is the difference? Yet he must work constantly, perform all his duties. He must give up the fruits of his actions to God. It is the most difficult thing in this world to work and not care for the result. So everywhere, Neither Sri Ramakrishna nor Swami Vivekananda nor our scripture think that it is easy, easy, easy. There is only one thing easy in this world, for the water to flow down, for the mind to become pravaha patita. What we call this as drift and go down. That is the only thing easy. To attain the ideal is always there is a struggle. Knowing that mother and father are the visible representatives of God, the householder always and by all means must please them. We see in Sri Ramakrishna, his father had already passed away when he was a boy, and he served his mother till the end of his life. Every day, he used to go to his mother and do what service he could do to her every day, and have sweet talks with her to keep her mind tuned to the ideals of life. See our lives. These days we say atomic families, nuclear families. The moment a boy marries, he separates. Does not care for his mother. In Bengal, there was a man who was a high court judge or something. He lived in Calcutta in a mansion, and his mother lived in a small hut in some village in Bengal. So people asked him, "What about your mother? Why don't you bring her here?" He replied, "I pay the godown rent." You understand? 9 months she kept me in her stomach, which was like a godown. And as that rent of that, I sent some money to her every month. More than that, I don't have any duty. This is not a grahasthashrami. See, Thakur, now I come to the main point. Even so, it is duty to his wife. That is the main point. And this can go vice versa if we adopt to these days. In Thakur's time, the only difference between husband and wife was that husband was the senior partner. So it was his more responsibility to guide the wife. These days, both are equal or sometimes reverse ratio. That adaptation you can try. Even so is his duty to his wife. No man should scold his wife. Manirvan Tantra is telling. And Thakur has followed this in toto. You know that famous incident. In Bengali, the English, a very poor language, there was thou and you. That thou has disappeared now, and we use the only word you. How can you translate that? In Bengali, and as far as I know, in every Indian language, there are three words. Of course, the range and usage varies in every language. In Bengali, the word thou, tui, is used for people lower than you in age, in status, etc. And tumi is the word used for equals, sometimes even for a little higher. And apni is the word used for seniors, people to be respected, or sometimes people who are strangers. Clear cut. Now Thakur had a niece called Lakshmi. One day, Thakur was not aware of the external world, maybe sleepy. Our most revered Holy Mother entered and seeing everything is all right, she was about to go away. And Thakur thought Lakshmi has come. So he said, "No, please," is the English word. "Shut the door behind you in a manner, verb and everything changes if it is tui. Bheje diye jas." Shut the door. Thou is not directly used, but thou jas. You can translate in English. Close the door behind you, oh, somebody younger than me. Now, mother was much younger than Thakur. But here the relation is of equality. He thought because he is Lakshmi, his niece, so he used that word. And mother replied, "All right." When he heard mother's voice, he understood that I made a mistake. And he again and again said, "Please do not mind, please do not mind. I thought it is Lakshmi, so I use that language." And mother is telling, "What big thing is there? You address me as Tui. What is the big thing there?" Next day morning, he again went to mother's and told her, "I could not sleep in the night. What a horrible crime I committed by calling you like Lakshmi." And again, mother started laughing. "I can't understand what mistake you have done." Is he not following the way in which the Grastha-shrami should follow? And Mahanirvan Tantra is telling, no man should scold his wife and he must always maintain her as if she were his own mother. Who has shown this? Thakur. Holy Mother asked him once, "How do you look upon me?" And he said, "The mother is worshipped in the temple. Another form, that mother has given birth to this and lives in the Nobat. And same mother has taken your form and is serving me." Can we? The foreigners have to follow Indians in every matter of spiritual growth. So we are talking only of spiritual growth. So how should they? Indian ideal, actually it is from both sides. The wife loves the husband, serves him, and when she grows in her spirituality, she feels the husband to be her child. She becomes the mother. I have seen examples in my life, and that is the Hindu ideal. That is what Mahanirvan Tantra is mentioning from the husband side. It is not only for sannyasin. We hear Tulsidas saying, "Parastri matru saman." But Mahanirvan Tantra is telling about his own wife. And even when he is in the greatest difficulties and troubles, he must not show anger to his wife. Ideal, what the Grihasthashrami should follow, is shown in Thakur's life. Then the other side is, of course, he who thinks of another woman besides his wife, if he touches her even with his mind, that man goes to dark hell. Before women, he must not talk improper language and never brag of his powers. The householder, the Grihasthashrami, must always please his wife with money, clothes, love, faith, and words like nectar, and never do anything to disturb her. Now, see Thakur pleased his wife with money. He could not touch his money. He is the ideal sannyasi. But he wanted to keep some money for Holy Mother. And he asked her in all sincerity, how many rotis you eat? She felt very shy. But Thakur is again and again asking, it is not from diet point of view or as a dietitian. He wanted to know how much money will be required for her. And so he wanted to keep some money for her. What more you want from an Grihasthashrami ideal? And clothes. That Thakur was very particular about. And love. Let us describe that love in Holy Mother's language or Sardanji's language. We have not seen such love throughout the world, they say. And Holy Mother says, he loved me so much, he never hurt me even by a flower. Where will go to find the ideal? Here, by the advent of God as man. What we do generally, oh, that Thakur only could do, that Thakur only could do. We are killing the purpose of his advent as man. He was God, but he took a human birth and showed the ideal to which a Grihasthashrami can rise. Rise. And that is what Mahanirvan Tantra is telling us. Love. Here again, in the great master Sardan Swamiji is showing why Thakur married. After the sexual attraction or youth is lost due to any cause in the wife, how many husbands pay them equal respect and love, that I have yet to see, he says. So it is not that one force only. And Sardan Swamiji says, I already told you, the Hindu scriptures prescribe that particular act only for children. Now, Thakur is showing the absolute ideal. He has said repeatedly, if I practice 1 rupee, you will follow at least 1 anna. And that will be sufficient for you. So he showed the absolute ideal, and Sardan Swamiji has discussed. Hindus will say it It is God's order that we should procreate. They are unknowingly perhaps referring to Taittiriya Upanishad in the Shikshavalli. Acharya priyam dhanamaritya prajatantum ma vivachetsi. And then he says, prajananam swadhyaya pravachane. So people will not follow that swadhyaya pravachan. There Sardan Swami says, is that the only command of God? God's two powers are working here, pravritti and nivritti. And as long as nivritti is not shown, how the balance in the world will remain, not as a sannyasi, as grahasthashrami. So when Thakur shows the absolute ideal, and I told you, some people are following that even. So, money, love, faith. Faith. Man's mind as well as woman's mind are always polluted by this one thing, doubt. But Thakur and Holy Mother, they had absolute faith in each other. When we talk of Thakur as an ideal for the householders, Holy Mother automatically, naturally is drawn into that picture. Because both of them together are living that life. And words like nectar. And never do anything to disturb her. That man who has succeeded in getting the love of a chaste wife has succeeded in his religion and has all the virtues. This also Sadhana Swamiji has mentioned there. By seeing whole life, Holy Mother is worshipping, Thakur as God, we get the testimony of his behavior towards his wife. So, ad infinitum. Let me again take that book which I told you, whether to take this or that. And I quoted a few things from that word. I was talking of senior partner. So it is his duty to guide and teach her about everything in the world. And Holy Mother describes that. He taught her in those days how to tend to the wick of a lamp. Now you may say how to operate the bulbs and all that. And how to behave with the people in the world. There we get two ideas, not opposing each other. Samadrishti is Brahmadrishti. But while practical dealing, how to translate that? Maybe here itself, na? As per the situation, as per the person with whom you are dealing, as per the time in which you are dealing. This Holy Mother always quoted by telling, Thakur taught me to do this. So let us refer to Holy Mother a little. There was a person, Ahmad, a Muslim in those days taken as equivalent to very low caste Hindu. And not only that, he was a part-time worker, a part-time thief. And this Ahmad was working in Holy Mother's house as a mason or as a masonry laborer. And the system in those days, even now today in some houses, that the laborers are not paid only salary, but are given food at the time of food. Now, while giving the food, Holy Mother's laws were reversed than this world. People are generally served in villages on leaves, and they generally carry their own leaves after food. In Holy Mother's house, nobody can carry his leave. I will carry everything because I am the mother. Even while telling this, Amma, who is to sit a little away from them, firstly, her niece, who was too much of a Puritan, mad-like, she is serving him from a distance. Holy Mother said, don't serve like that, give to me. Can anybody eat if you give me so much disrespect? And she served him lovingly. And after the food, even after being told that nobody should lift his leaf, Ahmad was lifting his leaf. And Holy Mother said, no, there are people to carry. She means herself. Nalini, that niece, says, Mother, you lose your caste if you touch his leaf. Mother asked her, with the authority of what scripture are you talking? That a mother loses her caste by serving her children? Nalini said, is he your son? Holy Mother says, yes. He is as much my son as, she would not say Saradananda, as Sharat is. Sharat, a born Orthodox Brahmin, a sannyasi, Sri Ramakrishna's pet child, and the great Nirvikalpa Samadhiman Brahmajna, Ahmad, a Muslim, a part-time thief, and she says, Ahmad is as much my son as Sharat is. But does she ever say that make Ahmad the General Secretary of the Ramakrishna Mission and let Saradananda serve as mason in my house? As and where and with which person according to that situation. Clear? Brahmadrishti is Samadrishti leading to love as children. And work division according to the capacity or capability of that man. So I had to bring Holy Mother because without that Thakur's householder ideal cannot be fully described. And then, please, this is unfortunately not an interactive talk. Please bring before me what more ideal of a grasthashrami, man or woman, you want, which is not shown by Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother? So easy. only ideal for the sannyasis, Tyageshwara and all that. He is ideal sannyasi, no doubt. But not at the cost of his losing his ideal as an grahasthashrami. Both the ideals coexist in him to the 100% degree that is possible for God. And we have to take God as the human aspect. He is God, but he is born as man for two purposes I was telling. We can love him in any relation we like. Automatically, that love grows in us. We should not keep a big distance from him. He never despised any woman, even the prostitute, because he is seeing the God existing in all of us. Now, one more book I would have brought. There is an essay by Swami Vivekananda. I request all of you to study that. It is a letter written to one disciple from Chennai. But because of its importance, it is included in the complete verse as a separate essay like. And the heading given is what we believe in. So I would say it is the creed of the Ramakrishna Mission, both for sannyasis and householders. In the beginning, one full topic I have left. Anyway, there Swamiji says, for some people, wife may be a positive help in spiritual life, they marry. In some people, wife may become an hindrance, they do not marry. And a sannyasi should never think that the grahasthashrami is lower to him. Nor the grahasthashrami should hold that they are vagabonds. We saw the heading in the Karma Yoga. Each is great in his own place. Now I come to that point. I told you about scores of people whom I have seen, but Thakur left ideal followers. Let us think of 2-3 at least of his followers. The first name comes to my mind is Shri Ma, Master Mahashaya Mahendranath Gupta. Do you know Adarsha Grahastha I am talking about? We know that Rakal Maharaj was Thakur's son in a spiritual sense. But like an householder, like a Grahastha-ashrami, who was Sri Ramakrishna's son? Master Mahashaya. It is heard that he even observed fast and all that after Thakur left his body, like a son does. And whatever Thakur required, bring me one stone vati, bring me a shirt. He is telling Master Mahashaya. And he is teaching Master Mahashaya thrift also. He brought 2 katuris. Thakur said, this is all right, this you return. More than one shirt, I want only one. He is making ideal householders. And towards the end, and he never allowed Master Mahashaya to think of becoming a monk. Now and then the ideas always used to shoot up in him. Thakur never allowed him to do that. And yet, towards the end, he used to live separate than his family, in the school building and where not. And Thakur told, I have not yet referred to Thakur's teachings. When Master Mahashaya asked Thakur how to keep the mind in God, he has said, be like a maid servant in the house of a big man. Your own house. Then where is this big man? You know who is that big man? God. Balaram Bose. Thakur used to praise him that his whole family is tuned in one note. This very Balaram Bose, towards the end of his life, mentally became a sannyasi, though he did not give up his house. But in the room where he was lying down on the last sickness, he did not allow his wife to come near him. And Turiyan Swami and Mahapurush Maharaj were his constant companions and serve him. So that type of ideal Thakur has shown through his disciples. A Grihastha, by following his Grihastha Ashrama, becomes mentally a sannyasi toward the end but does not give up the house. And there is one ideal absolute example, that is Nag Mahashaya. Swami Vivekananda is described in a Karma Yoga, a Mahabharata story, that a sannyasi and a princess and a king, they went to a forest and it was cold and all that, and the bird living in the nest lighted a fire, sacrificed himself, his wife and children, they also. And we think this is a fable. Can it be practiced in human life? As much as it can be practiced, Nag Mahashaya has practiced. When guest came to him and there was no fuel, he started cutting the wood of his roof for using as fuel. Why he became the householder? Thakur told him to live in a house. To show another ideal householder. If you go on dealing with Thakur's most honored and respected Grihastha-ashrami Shishyas, we bow down to them again and again. Such ideals do we sannyasis follow? We need not follow that form of life. But this, see, we can go on talking day after day on this subject, but in a brief 1 hour, which is our scheduled time every time, I have tried to deal with whatever has been described in the Great Master, in the Mahanirvana Tantra, and elsewhere about the, I repeat, Indian, meaning Hindus, religious scriptures. And other religious scriptures, as Swamiji has said, should take Vedas as their authority, then only their scriptures. So wherever you turn to the Indian ideal, both come into the mind. Sri Ramakrishna and his junior partner in spiritual life, the most revered Holy Mother. And she was not junior in any other respect, only in age. So it becomes his duty to guide her. I think this is my homage to Sri Ramakrishna, as I told you, ideal for the householders. He is absolute ideal householder himself, not holding the house, huh? Grahastha Ashrama. Now this house is, as Thakur said, a fort from which you are fighting. We can dwell any length upon these teachings of Thakur, how he taught Master Mashay. Now this ideal, I come back, cannot be decided. It has been decided already. For that, let me quote Swami Vivekananda's Karma Yoga to begin with. The goal of mankind is knowledge. That is the one ideal placed before us by Eastern philosophy. Pleasure is not the goal of man, but knowledge. Pleasure and happiness come to an end. It is a mistake to suppose that pleasure is the goal. The cause of all the miseries we have in the world is that man foolishly thinks pleasure to be the ideal to strive for. Another point, Swamiji himself has said, if knowledge, realization is the goal of life, love is the force which takes you there. One more point. Swamiji says duty is never sweet. It is always like a friction. Unless the lubricant of love is put inside, no duty is sweet. So that is what Thakur has shown. Love guided his life, love guided Holy Mother's life, and both of them and the disciples are on the record that love is that which binds the Ramakrishna mission. I remind you, Ramakrishna mission does not mean a few monks. Ramakrishna mission means everybody who is associated, whether he is a monk or a devotee or householder or grahastha. And this was the original ideal. Nowadays, monks are working and grahasthas are supporting them by money or elsewhere. Grahasthas are equal workers in the Ramakrishna mission, and they should be looked on as that as per Swami Vivekananda. Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya. This is called dharma sthapana. Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharma swarupine avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namah sadaropi viraktanam yatinam puratastuya sadashiva swarupaya Ramakrishnaya te namah. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thanks and love for all the listeners who have eagerly come to this session in celebration of Thakur's advent in a human body. Hari Om Tat Sat.